Hello, hello. Hey, my name is Jonathan Cromwell. I am the creator of Wardbord, and a lot of you know me. A lot of you don't know me, but some of you are starting to see, or you've started to see over the last couple of months, some, I'll call it pre-launch marketing and some sharing of information about Wardboard. And there's a lot of questions out there still from friends, coaches that I've coached with, coaches I don't know about the question is what exactly does Wardboard do? So I wanted to go live, share a little bit more about what Wardboard does. You're going to leave this live presentation wanting to know more. And over the months to come, leading into the 2022 season, um, you're going to learn more and more. And eventually, your team is going to purchase the Wardboard subscription for your team, and it's going to change your season. And so, really excited. This is the first time I've ever went live to um, show to show everybody what Woodboard does. So pretty exciting for me. But again, my name is Jonathan Cromwell. My wife and I and our family, we live in McKinney, Texas, just north of Dallas, and um, we're in Texas. So I also know that I'm talking to a lot of non-Texas high school football and college coaches too in California, Florida, Oklahoma, really across the country. We've got a lot of really great men that are leading the young people of our country. So really proud to be a part of that group. So anyways, let's talk about Wardboard and find out what exactly does Wardboard do and how I know for a fact it can change the course of your season this next year. So let's talk. Um, Before I get too far into it, I do want to say that at the end of January, Wardboard is a proud sponsor at the DFW Coaches Clinic. That's going to be at the Embassy Suites in North Dallas, actually in Grapevine, super close to the DFW airport. So those of you that live in Texas or live in faraway parts of Texas, it's super easy flight for you to come into DFW, get right there to the Embassy Suites in no time, right? And those of you that are outside of Texas and looking for a great clinic, it's a great clinic in late January, before spring ball, a lot of the other things they got going on. So it's a great time to come, leave your home state, come to Texas, and um, and just learn some football with some other good football coaches. So we will be there. I'll have a lot more information and a lot more to share, and I'll be able to um, share a lot more at the DFW Coaches Clinic. But I will say this: the best offer that I'll ever make, that Wardboard will ever make, is going to happen at the DFW Coaches Clinic. So, and you're only going to get that offer if you're at the DFW Coaches Clinic. So be there or be square. Um, this is me, and it's kind of a funny picture because I don't know who the kid in the yellow shirt is, but he's looking at me like he doesn't know where his dad is, right? So that is my son. That's my son, oldest son, Rocky, who is 8 years old now. That was me when I was coaching at McKinney Boyd, and we were playing a playoff game in AT&T Stadium. I think that was against Cedar Hill. But that's a picture of me back when I was coaching. I am out of education at this point. I do not coach anymore, but for sure, by far, my best friends are high school football coaches, and I've got developed a lot of really great relationships over the years. I love everything about Texas high school football. I love everything about high school football. I think we do more. High school football coaches do more for young men in this country than a lot of other entities that should be doing more, right? So, really proud to be a part of this group, and I understand the impact that we have on young people. Um, the reason I want you to know that I'm a football coach, I used to be a football coach. I might be a football coach again one day. Who knows what life will bring, right? But um, I don't know if Wardboard could have been created by any by anybody that hasn't actually been in the game, been coaching, right? I don't know if this could have been created by somebody that doesn't understand assignment, execution, and effort, and all of these different things. I really believe Wardboard had to be created by a coach, and so I made it. I am a Texas guy, so it's Texas made. But most importantly, across the board, across the country, anywhere in the world that plays football, this app, this program has been made and created by coaches, but for coaches, and players are going to eat it up. It's going to make them better football players. It's going to make them. It's going to make your team win more. It's just going. It's going to be so awesome. So excited to share what it does, how simple it is, how innovative it is, and how exciting it's going to be for your players. Um, this is Alito. I won a state championship. I think that's last year. I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, that's them winning the state championship. It's December 1st. We're, I think, a week away from the state semifinals here in Texas. And then the weekend of the 17th and 18th will be the state championships here in Texas across the state. Take my boys, and we're going to be at AT&T Stadium for a couple of those days and watch a lot of really good football. All of you that know football and love football have played in games, and you've also coached in games that came down to one play. They came down to one play. I can list multiple games that came down to one play as a player and as a coach that I was a part of. And so what I'm proposing is that Wardbord is going to help teams improve residually across the season in ways that we've never seen before. And I do think that Wardbord's going to change the bracket for some teams, right? The teams that utilize it, not all of them. I'm not saying it's the end all be all in terms of everybody that uses Wardbord's going to win a state championship, but I do think that it is going to change the course of the season for some teams next year when you take into account that one play that Wardbord's going to change. Super impactful. I've got 3 slides that I want to share with you, right? And I'm sharing you these slides because I want you to see, I want you to acknowledge that, I want you to agree with me that these things are being done the same way for the most part in football now. They're doing the same way that they were done back in forever, right? So this right here is a picture. Um, this is an Excel spreadsheet. This is a journal with some notes in it. And this is a really old school diagram of a breakdown of plays and formations and some notes down here. All coaches are doing this in different ways, but very similar, right? When a coach goes to give a player feedback now on a Saturday morning, or give players feedback on a Monday morning after a game, assuming they don't bring them in on a Saturday morning, most coaches are giving handwritten notes. They're given a spreadsheet. They're given something, a piece of paper from the copier where they've listed all the different numbers of plays and the feedback that the coach has for each kid as their position players, right? Every coach does this. Every good coach does this on every play, every player, every assignment, every effort. It's all done the same way for the most part, but we're all looking at the same things, right? And some of it's game specific, you know, game plan specific, I'm sorry, is what I meant. But right now, like, we're doing it on paper, we're doing it on spreadsheet, or we're writing some form of notes. This is what we'll essentially, most of the time, a lot of the time, pass on to players when we're prepared to give them feedback, in addition to watching film with them. The things that coaches are looking at are alignment, execution, effort, and then very position specific. I'll I'll call them statistics, but they're not really statistics, but making the correct reads, pancakes, cut blocks, receptions, points scored, stuff like that. But not always the traditional statistics that you'll see in the big newspapers and magazines, right? Coaches don't always track that every morning. It's more about the assignment, the effort, the things that were done by the player that actually created the touchdowns, that actually created all the yardage. So this is how coaches do it now, provide feedback. This is an actual example of a piece of some feedback that a Baylor coach was giving his DBs. When I was at McKinney Boyd, we went on a college visit to Baylor. This is when in the Art Briles era, and he was down there, let us be in part of all their meetings and go to their spring practice. Y'all know how that works. But I took a picture of that because I was in the DB meeting room, and I was like, well, there's another proof at the college level. This is how it's happening, right? And it's a spreadsheet, and it's, he's tracking, certain things, but I can almost guarantee you without diving in to that spreadsheet, effort, assignment, doing your job type is what he's looking at, right? Um, so there's an example from Baylor. And then at some point, all good programs, after the feedback has been done, given to players and coached up and taught, and the players have been educated and held accountable, at some point, every good program is going to recognize their players, right? There's a lot of different ways. You can't recognize enough, I don't think. You got player of the week, defensive lineman of the week, offensive lineman, big hit, special teams player of the week, academic player of the week. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. And I also know that a lot of schools will have very school specific awards, recognition type things that they'll do depending on the history of their school and traditions, right? So, um, regardless, every team is going to recognize their players and do a good job with it, including stickers on helmets and stuff like that, right? Wins and such. So done a little bit differently from team to team, but every good team does it. This is Wardbord. This is an introduction to Wardbord. And this is where I start sharing with you what exactly Wardbord is going to do for you and your players. So this is how coaches are going to give players feedback starting next season in 2022. And I do think we're going to take a lot of the football world by storm. I think it's going to happen slowly, and then boom, I think it's going to catch. It's going to spread like wildfire because it's effective, it's exciting, it's great. Coaches love it. Players are going to be all over it. But Wardboard is we're innovating the way coaches give players feedback. We're not changing anything. You don't change something like that in the great sport of football, right? We're not changing anything. We are innovating it, and it's going to be pretty awesome. We're going to increase efficiency for coaches. We're going to help coaches save time on the morning after games. We're going to help them save a tremendous amount of time and how long it takes them to get the feedback into the hands of their players, right? I'm going to start a poll. I'm curious. Wish I could do that in here. I'm curious to know how many of you guys out there, you coaches, are bringing your players in on Saturdays still versus bringing your players in on Mondays. There's different ways, right? There's different philosophies, different ways of doing it, whatever. But regardless, this Wardboard is going to provide feedback to players via push notification on their phone, right? Like never done before. Kids are all over their phone. They love it. Technology. It's awesome. But it's going to save coaches so much time. It's going to get feedback to players faster than the world has ever seen before. And it's going to evaluate what coaches really evaluate, what coaches really give a crap about, right? It's going to allow coaches to evaluate what matters and evaluate what's going to win them football games. It's going to bring a new energy to player accountability. It's going to bring a new energy to overall accountability across the board. Accountability to coaches, accountability to parents, accountability to players, but mainly coaches and players is what this is for. And then the most exciting thing to me, and I think a lot of you would agree with this, is that Wardboard is going to allow for more players to be recognized than ever before. I played offensive line back in the day, and I played so hard. I wanted to play in a way that people in the stands were going to have to recognize Jonathan Cromwell, number 70 for the Ennis Lions football team, right? But like, had I been a part of Wardboard back in my day, it would have been super exciting, right? I would have been recognized even more, right, as a player, and it would have been more motivating for me and all players. And so, really excited about the fact that more players will be recognized than ever before. And then the other little thing that you'll see here is we have a slight gamification. Kids are going to love it. A slight gamification of some of these statistics that you're about to see on the app and in this program. And to be clear, there is an app for the players. It is a free download. It does not cost the players a dime. The app is for the players. The coaches are going to do their evaluation and their feedback on an actual computer, laptop computer, whatever it is that you're going to use. So I know, and I've put a lot of thought into the flow of this and how this program is going to work, and I know that it's got to be a great thing for coaches, or it's not a great thing for coaches, right? But I know that coaches aren't, for the most part, I wouldn't like that. I'm 37 years old. Coaches aren't going to really like doing all of this on the phone, right? What I'm about to show you. So I've got a lot of different videos that are coming to help explain and communicate why I've done certain things that I've the way I've done them with my team of developers, and I think you're going to really appreciate what we're doing here. So slight gamification, really exciting for the kids. You'll coach. You're going to look at your computer. You'll see a screen. This is your login screen. You'll log into Wardbord on your computer the morning after a game, and then um, you can see the combination here. You can kind of see where I'm going with this. Coaches will have all of their players, access to all of their players, and the library of games and such, and play-by-play evaluation tools that I'm going to show you here in a minute. That computer is going to feed the app that the players are going to be receiving their feedback on. And so there's an overview of kind of what it looks like at a glance. This is a closer up view of the screen that a coach will see on the morning after a game as he's evaluating plays, play by play, position specific. I'm looking at my position kids, and don't look at the pictures. These are the pictures. Remember, 2022 is our first season. The pictures that you see are stock photos of humans I don't know, and I'm looking at them, and they don't look like football players, so don't look at that. Next year, your players, when they download their app, they will upload their own picture. That is not more work for you. This is less work for you. So please remember that. But a position coach will look at Wardbord on their computer. They will see their position kids. And on play 23 of the game, they'll be able to click on their players that are in the game super fast, super easy. And they'll be able to go to the next screen, which is this. So feel free to if you're watching the replay of my live streaming here, please feel free to pause and kind of just look at and grasp on to what we got going on here. But you click on Kenneth Anderson. Let's say he is your defensive lineman or whatever. The things that are being evaluated on this screen right here have been very carefully thought out, and they are position specific to each position, right? So did they execute their assignment? Did they have great effort? And then the position specific statistics are over here to the side, right? And this is actually position specific stuff for like an offensive lineman. So I'm sorry, a tight end type, tight end slash receiver. So it's pretty exciting to me as an offensive line guy to see that for receivers, kind of goofy and funny, but exciting for kids. For receivers, it's kind of cool to see that receivers are going to be accumulating pancakes. My favorite kids on the field as an offensive line coach and a defensive line guy, outside linebacker a little bit, I loved the receivers that would go block a corner or block a DB and take them to the ground with some authority, right? That's an unselfish moment that we need to capture and recognize. And so receivers, tight ends, they will have pancakes that will be accumulated. Cut blocking, reception, cut block. Some of this is a little bit sporadic, right? We're finalizing our with developers right now. So don't be too hard on me right now with some of this stuff. But pancakes, receptions, negative plays. That sounds broad. You're thinking, why is that so broad? I'm working to simplify the work for coaches, not change. Every position has a negative play. It's not a good thing for your scores, right? It's not good. It's not good if you have a negative play. A negative play is, for example, a defensive player. A negative play, all of my defensive players, their negative play is a missed tackle. You can't win games if you're missing tackles. That's probably the number one negative thing that can happen as a defensive player, is for you to miss a tackle. So if you're a defensive player and you got a negative play on play 22, that means on play 22 you basically missed a tackle. The negative plays are different for other positions. Okay, and we'll talk more about that in some other live videos, live shares that I'll do. But A receiver tight end kid would accumulate touchdowns, and then a penalty against a player would obviously affect their score. That's a negative thing. We don't want penalties, so don't get penalties. And I get some of us, not some of us, all of us are coaching our players to play on the edge, and penalties happen sometimes, but they're still not a good thing. They're not acceptable, right? Don't don't hold, block them. Don't get held, get off the block, stuff like that. And then I went round and round with my developers, and they are so smart and good at what they do. I know what's necessary and valuable to coaches, and they're developers, right? But I told them I had to have this comment section right here. So think about this. On play 23, whatever, you'll be able to go to Kenneth Anderson, and it's going to default that to the fact that he executed his assignment. It's going to default to the fact that he had great effort. There's fewer plays that you actually have to change that, hopefully. So those will default. You'll do that. But then you're actually going to get to leave comments here for Kenneth Anderson on play 23 about that play. Hey, Ken, we worked on this all week. What are you doing, man? You got too far upfield or whatever. That's kind of a lot, right? I don't know how much you're actually going to want to text. I would usually keep pretty brief notes, but to the point. But when you leave notes in here and you hit submit for Kenneth Anderson on play 23, super quick, probably 8 seconds in and out of this screen to grade Kenneth on play 23, maybe 12 seconds. When this is all said and done and you hit submit, it's going to in the app when Kenneth gets his push notification the next morning or the Monday, whenever you send it to him, it's going to allow him to go through every single play in that game and see, oh, coach gave me poor effort on this play. Coach said I didn't do my assignment on play 23, and he also told me that I'm a goofball. I need to get it together and don't let it happen again or whatever, right? Use your hands, you get off the block or whatever the notes are. The player will be able to read those notes from his phone and receive feedback like players have never received feedback before. Super excited. And then all in between, right? You can search on my social media. You can see some better images of some of these phones and the way the app's going to look for the players. This is kind of hard to see for you, I'm assuming, based off the fact that you're watching it from your phone or something like that. But this is an overview, kind of just at a glance, of what is all on the app. You can see that we're giving a percentage for assignment for that game, but then across the season. Little Johnny executes his assignment 94% of the time across the span of a season. Little Johnny also has 97% effort across the span of a season, and then you also get to view that on a game level, then on a season, and then on a career level too. But super cool. Lots of things in between that I don't know if coaches. I know coaches don't ever really provide, for the most part. We're not providing, hey, 93% is your assignment execution, and you did 87% of your plays. You had great effort, which wouldn't be great. 87 is not good enough for effort. It should be 99, right? But this is not new. But in coaches' main, I think there's analytics here that I think a lot of coaches are going to be really excited for. I had Coach Baden. If you watch this, you get this point of the video on the replay. Give me a comment. But Coach Baden said, "Hey, this might actually be some pretty good ammo in a parent meeting. Look at little Johnny. Look at little Sammy over here. Actually does his job. Not only does his job, but he has great effort. And little Johnny doesn't, or whatever. Yeah, I know we try not to get into those conversations about other players, but you know what I mean. Great analytics, great gamification, super. I want to say basic, but it's the purest metrics that need to be evaluated by a coach that will lead to more wins. These things lead to wins, right? If you score 8 touchdowns and the other team scores 10 touchdowns, you still lose. But if you have great effort and you have great execution of assignment and you're motivated and you're doing all of these different things that are related to your position, you're going to win more games. Extremely motivating for players. All around accountability like we've never seen before. super fast feedback, more wins. This is the kind of stuff that's going to make a difference and provide a different outcome for some teams next year in the playoffs. I really feel that. And so super excited about this. Please email me, reach out to me, comment below, share. If you would share, retweet, whatever platform you're seeing this on, I would appreciate that so much. I'm hoping to spread the word as much as possible in the months to come, and and get it out there to as many people as we can. I'm excited. So, anyways, I appreciate your time. If you tuned in, if you watched the replay, give me a thumbs up, and I hope you guys have a great night. Um, there's a sneak peek. There's more. Not only will you get to, why I'm going to keep on rolling. Your team will also get to recognize player of the game, defensive player of the game, offensive player of the game, special teams player of the game in the app. And your players will get to share this information with their friends, with their family in Michigan or wherever their grandparents are or cousins. And so I almost didn't share that, but I said, you know what, whatever. There you go. Check it out. So anyways, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm really anxious to get some feedback from some of you, and I'll see you when I see you. If you are at AT&T Stadium on the 17th and 18th, and I'll be there with my boys, and say something on Twitter, and we'll come find you. Anyways, thank you guys. Bye-bye.